Hi everyone, welcome to part 12 of our techniques guide. This is ME109 as we left it last time. We've done some paint fading, some mottling, didn't do any post shading, didn't think it required it because of the way the pre-shading was showing through, and as you can see on the camera I'm very happy with that paintwork. The mottling was all done. I know a few guys commented, and I knew myself when I was editing, I couldn't really see it until I was editing, that you can't really see. You can, but you can't really see what the mottling is. So what I said I'd do in the comments on YouTube is that I've got a little test card that I've painted up, and I'll show how I did the mottling with a darker colour so you can actually see it on camera. Like I said, it's the only 109 I've ever built with a colour call to actually call for that colour. I suppose I could have used a bit of artistic license and used the darker RLM colour instead, but I quite like the light colour. I can see it, and to the naked eye it's quite visible. On camera it's really hard to show up. I think it's the lighting, to be honest. So what I'll do, we'll go to the spray booth. First of all, we're gonna give this a clear coat. We're decaling today, so the first job when you decal, once all your paintwork's done, which we are, is to move over and put a clear coat on, and then once that's dry, that gives us a smooth surface for our decaling. What you don't want for decaling is a rough surface underneath, because what you're going to get, the decals aren't going to go down properly. They're not going to be completely smooth, and you're going to get air trapped underneath. You get what's called silvering, which is where the decals dry and you get silver spots or streaks, and it literally is just air trapped under the decal. So you want as smooth a surface as possible. So the way to do that is by putting a clear coat on. Essentially it's a varnish. There's several different types I use. I mainly use Alclad. I've used Vallejo in the past, but my main choice, I know a lot of modelers use it, is clear, which is this. Now, there was an older bottle, the original clear, which is a clear bottle that people are selling for extortionate money on eBay. They're selling it for like £20 a bottle. Then this one came out, and then there's a newer one now, which is in different shaped bottle. I think it's got a yellowy label on the front, but this is the bottle I've got. I've had this for 3 years or so, and hardly used any of it. It just lasts for so long. I've probably only used probably not even used a tenth of it yet, and that bottle cost me about, wasn't even £4. And for me, for decaling, it is the best solution for that. It dries very quick. It dries as quick as acrylic. It leaves a nice satin surface. It won't go glossy through airbrushing. You'll only get a brilliant gloss finish by brush painting it and building up levels slowly. So if you're looking for a gloss finish and you're using this, you're going to have to brush paint it, and by brush paint you've got to put it on thin, nice thin coats, letting it dry between coats, building those up. If you put this on too thick, either by brush or airbrush, it's going to dry in spots and it's going to dry milky. So if you get a little bit collecting in a corner or recess, if you can see it actually pooled, that's going to dry white. So when you're spraying it, you need to do real light thin coats, and it is really easy to overspray because it's so thin. You've really got to take your time. So this is what I'll use. I've got this decanted into a little bottle over there, which saves me keeping this out on the desk. I've only got this out to show you guys. So that's one I've got, and like I say, this was like the mid one. This is probably about 3 years old. The new one now has got a yellow label. It's a different shaped bottle. And I know a few of you guys have bought it as well. And like I said, the old one was a clear bottle. Lovely smelling stuff. Obviously, with any chemical or any substance, breathing any of it in isn't great. So again, make sure you've either got a face mask, well ventilated, or more importantly of all, a spray booth to vent it off. So what we'll do, we'll move it to spray booth. We'll give this a coat of clear. And then we'll put it to one side to dry, and while we're doing that, we'll then I'll show the mottling on our test card as well. So we'll move to the spray booth and we'll get this clear coated. Okay, so we're on the spray booth. Bit of a calamity off camera. Managed to spill a bit of a hairbrush cleaner on the wings of the 109. A nice big blob there and there. Literally knocked the airbrush cleaner bottle over, and we had a couple of spillages. What it does, because you get a little pool of fluid, it makes a little recess and makes a lip where it's taking away the paint. Obviously our airbrush cleaner is airbrush cleaner, so it does get rid of paint quite easy, and it took the paint straight off in 2 spots there and there, one there and one just there. It meets RLM 72. So what I did, let it dry, went to it with one of our grey UMP sanders, and then went down to the 1200 black UMP sander, then the green buffer and the white buffer finally. Feathered all the edges so it was nice and smooth, masked off the screen RLM 71. I then came back with AK primer, primed it again, pre-shaded it again, gave it the RLM02 again, and faded the panels again. The downside of that means I can't clear it now. I'm going to have to let the paint dry, so we'll move on with something else. Okay, so off camera, what I've done is I've painted up a little plastic card test sheet kind of thing. You can see the paint's a little bit fresh at the bottom. I just tested at the top, just with random splots. This is the RLM71 that's on the upper side of the fuselage and wings. We used the 02 last time I was modelling. We'll use the 71 this time. I know, like I say, I've just tested to make sure it can be seen. Paintwork's a little bit fresh at the bottom because I just touched it back up where it wasn't quite thick enough as such. So what we've got RLM71. It's probably 50-50 mix and we're down to 20 psi. Again, if I just pop a little bit up the top where it doesn't really matter, you can see it, and you can see it when it's wet. So no problem there, as you can see, a couple of little spots. So we'll put the spray booth on. So I'm not going to paint the whole thing, I'm just going to do a little line across to show the kind of effect we had last time. So as I say, make sure you pull your paint through, and I'm not the best at this, so if it goes pear-shaped, you know why. So I like to I call it dot and dab with the airbrush. A little bit of spit in there, but as long as you can see the effect of the modelling, it doesn't really matter. Like I said, we've got a bit of spitting, probably because the paint's not properly thinned, but like I say, this isn't on the model, so it doesn't really matter. I'm just trying to show you the actual effect I got last time. Like you see, all varying sizes, some a bit darker than others where I've added a little bit more paint to go on. It's not the exact pattern I've got on the plane, like I say, this is modelling, I'm just showing you the effect and how to do it. Obviously the paint's a little bit too thick, so we are going to need a little bit of spit in. You can ideally go down a little bit, and if I just chuck a little bit more thinner in. We'll go to the top here. So yeah, there's the kind of effect. If you know the bottom one, we'd rather have spit in, but you can see in the middle there, from there upwards, it's not the same pattern I've got on the plane. Obviously it's different because they are random, and we are a bit more enclosed there, the full length of the fuselage on the plane to play with, but that's the kind of effect. So you can see all different random sizes, some thicker than others. If you get the likes of this one here, where it's like halo, like these test ones at the top, I've just literally come up here and blasted that on there just to make sure you can see the colour. But this one's where I've just sprayed a little bit too heavy. The best thing you can do is make sure your paint's through and come back and just feather it like so, and you basically filled in the centre and it looks normal now. But as I say, practice makes perfect on this. I am hopeless at doing this. I cannot stand modelling. I literally only did it on the actual aircraft. If I take this off, I only did it on the aircraft to show you guys. I'm sorry you couldn't see it, so there we go. Ignore the bottom one because we had a bit of spit in there, but it's a similar effect, you can see it. Obviously time preparing it, getting your paint the right ratio, thinner and what have you, is worth doing. It's also worthwhile giving your airbrush a good clean through beforehand as well to make sure it's performing as it should, and periodically just pull the paint through. You know, all you got to do is just blast it with your trigger full back, and when you're done, give it a little tap off, because if any paint's left on the tip, you're blasting that off as well. and then you can come back, pop another one down, and as you see, you're just looking for that random. You don't want the pattern to be, so best thing I do, like I've just done, is put one there, one here, one there, go back, put another one, another one, another one, rather than working your way over systematically, because you'll find yourself doing a pattern there. But that's the kind of mottling, that's the kind of effect we've got on the side of the 109 as it is. So there we go. Hopefully you can see that. I can see it perfectly, so fingers crossed you guys can. So there we go. So we'll let the 109 dry, and then we'll come back and we'll get some clear on it. Okay, so after the calamity of spilling paint and fixing the problem, this has been drying now for at least, it's been probably 3 hours now. Paintwork was damaged there, and you can't really see it at all. It's just blended in the rest of the faded paintwork, so that's quite a relief. So what we got our clear that I showed you before, Johnson's Clear, the floor polish. I'm just going to give my airbrush a blast through while I talk to you guys. So Johnson's Clear, the floor polish, we're going to be spraying in about 20 psi. And like I said on the intro, this is our base coat for our decals. What this does, gives us a nice smooth finish, which allows the decals to settle nice and smoothly as well. So what I've just done, a little bit of airbrush cleaner. It's my Iwater Neo, which I use for all my clear coats, bar Alclad, and I use my Revolution. But mostly this airbrush gets used for clear, that's it really. Maybe if I chuck the odd wash through there or what have you, that'll go in instead. So that's that nice and clear. Like I said, I've got the big bottle I showed you over on the workbench before, and this is decanted into this little container here. I've had this container for years now, it's an old Vallejo one. So I'll chuck a bit in there. So we haven't got a massive amount in there, in fact we'll put a little bit more in, because we're probably going to use that amount, so we'll pop the spray booth on. Now the key to this is a nice thin coat. If you go too thick, like I said before, it's going to pool, it's going to dry white, and it's going to look awful. Nature of the habit with clear, unfortunately. So as usual, make sure you pull through, and all you're doing is light dusting coats. Like that. You see the wing there, it's not completely wet, but it's wetting up as a kid. And systematically all the way around the top of the aircraft, working your way underneath. Just make sure you get everywhere. Like I said, all we're doing is dusting it to begin with, until we're happy. We've got it covered, you can turn it over. As usual, you can cut to air to dry it off. As you can see, that's very nearly dry there now. And then just moving around the aircraft, equivalent it all. Job done. So what I normally do is I'll let that go, I'll let that dry for a minute or so, and then go back again one more time. As you see, that colour cup's very nearly empty, probably one quick blast left in there, so a bit more in. As you can see, the surface has got a bit of a sheen, and that's what we're after. So you won't get a gloss finish by airbrushing clear at all, that's not going to happen, but you'll get a gloss finish by brush painting. That works very well. If you go onto ISM, look at my Mustangs, it's the one that says, was that too fast on the nose? That was brush painted in this, and it gives a real nice finish, nice deep shine, so well worth brush painting on. But again, brush paint, you've got to do a nice thin coat. I'm just spraying this with air at the minute. You've got to do nice thin coats to ensure that you don't get it to pool anywhere. Okay, so as you can see, there's no wet patches. It dries really quick, and we're just going to go over it again. I'm probably 4 inches away from the aircraft. So we're not too close and not too far. As you can see, I'm not totally soaking it, I'm just getting a mist on there. That's key to getting a good coverage everywhere it's needed. I'm just going to use the last little bit that's in here, it's probably 1/2 mil if that. We'll give it one more go there over on the wings. comfortably get the side of the fuselage. You might even get it all with this, to be honest. Complete coat all over. There you go. So that's it, we're cleared. You see, got a bit of a shine on it, not a massive amount, but that's enough for decaling for me. I'm happy with that. In fact, I'll just let it dry and then we'll use the rest of that in there rather than wasting it. But you can see that shine we're getting there. There's a bit more on the tail, as you can see. It's still a bit wetter on the tail. We'll dry that off. But for floor polish, it gives a very good effect. There we go, empty. So this needs to go to one side to dry. So I tend to prop it up somewhere, usually in my little Tamiya paint stand. Let's turn that off. Knock everything around everywhere. Yeah, I have Tamiya's paint stand. I never actually paint on it. I just use it to rest stuff on. So pop that in one of those holes. Clean up with clear. UMP airbrush cleaner works perfectly for it. Doesn't react at all, so it's a case of pop some in with a brush. Let's see which one we got. We've got a new one of these because the other one just snapped on me, which is great. One of my favourite brushes for airbrush cleaning to Humbrol is a Colaro number 8. The only thing is, when it's brand new, you get a bit of red off the copper coloured ferrule on there, so you need to bear that in mind when you're cleaning it. But I've literally just put a brand new one in the bin after it's snapping off. So not too impressed. I sent an email to Airfix complaining because my ATP brush broke. To be honest, it's about the third one I've had do it now. And they've all gone in the same place. So whether it's a dodgy batch or a manufacturing defect, I don't know. But my favourite airbrush cleaning brush, as you can see. I've got that one, that's my acrylic one. And I've got one where I've cut off a flat of wood, so I know that's for cellulose, and it gets right in the bottom of the airbrush perfectly, right down to the needle, and works really well. I say they're only 80p, 89p, cheapest chips. So there we go, cleared up after using the clear. There's a little bit of remnant in the colour cup still, so we'll grab that quickly. Like I say, clean up's nice and easy with it, with Johnson's Clear. But like I say, I just use the Neo for clear really, and say for spraying our washes through. Just so I don't get contaminated with anything else in any of the other airbrushes. And as usual, leave a bit of cleaner in the bottom, pop it back on its stand. So other clears you can use. Now, if I was going for an actual clear coat, not like say it was a car, I need like a factory, not a factory, but an absolute spotlessly clear finish, then I'll use Alclad gloss coat. So if I was doing like a P51 where I needed like a semi-gloss, because this does work very, very well, but it doesn't give a real deep shine. I think if you sprayed tons of the stuff and built it up in layers, it would. But for that, it's an easier way of getting it for me, and that's using Tamiya's rattle cans, the TS17. I think it is. I use that on that YZ250 1.6 motorbike I built for E-models, and that came out really well. That's basically a car paint, but in a smaller, more manageable can. So I have different glosses for different uses, but for decaling, 9 times out of 10 I use clear. I've used the Alclad in the past, no problem whatsoever. Probably 10 to 15 times now on different models. I'll tend to do it if I need it to dry quick, because the Alclad's dry in a few seconds. If I'm not in any rush, I'll just use this because it's cheaper, obviously. But I know Lee had a problem with Alclad clear. I think it was clear reacting with I can't remember if it was just paint or his decal solution, but I've never had that problem. So whether Lee did something different or contaminated it, I don't know, hard to tell. But I've never had a problem with it. But like I say, 9 times out of 10 I use Johnson's Clear. So what we'll do, that's going to dry probably overnight. I like to leave it 24 hours to clear before we decal over it. Water seems to reactivate clear, so if you're putting water on it too soon, you might get a milky decal. So 24 hours does me, so we'll come back to this tomorrow and we'll go to a bench and put decals down. Okay, 24 hours later, and it is literally 24 hours later. It's 12 midday, and it was about 12 midday yesterday when I sprayed this. The aircraft's nice and dry, the clears dried nice and hard, and as you can see we've got a satiny semi-gloss finish on there, which is perfect for decaling for me. I'm lucky with my workshop, it's nice and warm, it's heated, and through the day it's about 22 degrees, and overnight it goes down to about 16, 17, 18 depending on the outside temperature. So everything dries nice and quick, so 24 hours, we're nice and dry, and we're going to go a good surface for decaling. Now, tools I'll go through in a little bit. The decal sheet is, by some of the decal sheets I've reviewed lately, a very small decal sheet, so it's a welcome change. I'm not sure which markers we're going to use yet. If I have a look, it's going to be those ones there, which is JG51, and it is pilot Johan Bohem, if I said that right, and it was the first Luftwaffe part to be shot down over the UK. So, you know, not a significant plane, but I'm sure we can trace its history back, find some actual pictures of it and what have you, and it's 1940 as well. So that's the scheme we've just painted, obviously with the mottling and what have you. So these are the decals we're going to do. So as you can see, every red square with a number is the decal and its location. Obviously there's a few that we're going to do. The props aren't painted yet, but once they are, we'll decal those. We're just going to pay attention to the fuselage today. So like I say, it's not too many, it's probably not even 40 in total, so it's not a mammoth decaling session at all. What I'm going to do today, I'm going to show one of the bigger ones, one of the actual unit markings, and a couple of the smaller stencils. I'm not going to show you them all because that'll be one boring as hell video, and then off camera I'll put the rest down. So I'll show you a couple of these, couple of these, so just so you get the idea how I do it. Now tools, me being me, I didn't use a pot, I used Trumpeter's decaling tray. So the idea behind this is you fill it with water until you get water over this grill here. Put your decal in, let it soak in the solution. When it's ready to be taken out, you literally pull that sits on top, all the water drains away, and the decal's left on top waiting for you to pick it up. So it's not kept in the water too long, and obviously it does work well. I use it all the time like this, and it is quite a handy thing. To be honest, you don't really need to use this, probably is a bit gimmicky, but you know what I'm like with all this crap on my desk, as a bit of a kit art. But it does work well, and it's not dear. They're about £4 if that at all. It is, even if you just use that, it's a very good decal tray. As you can see with all the solution in the bottom, it's very well used. Setting and solutions, I've got microset, microsol. Now this one you're supposed to put on with a brush with where the decal is going to go, and then once that's drying off you put this on, and it actually sets the decal to conform around surfaces and what have you. What I like to do with this is just pour this into the water in the decal tray. That saves one less job and it works just as well. Just needs a drop in there, job done. And then as I go around, I'll add this with a paintbrush, which I've got here, which is an Italieri flat that is just my decaling brush. It's a number 2 flat, and I use this for positioning decals, putting this solution on, moving them around, what have you. So just the one brush, and that does both jobs. So there's the solutions I use. I was asked recently about decaling. Like I say, there's solutions I use. Microscale Industries, Microset, Microsol. They're not dear, they're about £4 a bottle, and they last a long time. That one's only empty because I knocked it over, as you do, and obviously you use more of this because you're putting that into the water. But I've had these for quite a while now and they're still going strong. Like I say, kitchen paper, especially under the decal tray, because you're filling it quite high, do have a tendency that if you knock it, it does spill. So I just put it's a napkin, actually, nice thick napkin underneath. It's catching spilled water. Tools, like I say, I've got the number 2 flat brush. I've got my Tamiya decaling scissors, my Tamiya craft knife. I've got 2 of these. The smaller one just gets used for masking canopies because the blade is just kept sharp for that. I don't use it for anything else, and the big one I use for everything else. Again, there was a question on the forum about craft knives, and I've tried loads. I've literally have got a drawer full. I've got X-Acto, Swan, scalpel ones, the lot, you name it, I've got them in the drawer, and I find these the best. They're not a cheap tool, but they are very strong. They're plastic with a metal end to them, and absolutely superb definitely the best one I've ever used. Same with the scissors. These are superb little crafting scissors, and again I use these for decaling and masking, cut masking tape only, nothing else at all. It keeps it nice and sharp, keep it nice and clean, and that's it. Tweezers, I've got some curved pointed ones and just some straight, and again usually picking the decals out of the water, position them, moving them around. And then last of all, we've got a toothpick or cocktail stick and a couple of cotton buds or Q-tips. This is just your generic round one, and this is a Tamiya one. So these are a bit tougher, they're pointed, so again they come in handy for moving decals around, and obviously these are used for mopping up the water, the excess water from underneath the decal. And that's it really, they're all the tools I use. Obviously we need our call out, which I'm going to put just at the front there. Oh, and yeah, one more important thing, water. I got a little bottle of lukewarm water I've just got out of my tap. Not warm, not red hot, just very, very slightly lukewarm. And it's literally a case of filling this up until we get water just over the grill. Hopefully I've got enough in the bottle, which I have. There we go. Like I said, just take a lot of water to go over, and then I like to take this out. A little bit of the microset, put it in the lid so you can see how much you're putting in. And that lid's probably about half full. And there we go. Pop that to one side. Give the solution a little stir with a brush. And there we go. Pop that back in. Push that in, and we're done. Right, so to start off with, what I'll do to show you guys is we'll put one of the, what should we do? Yeah, we'll put one of these on the wing, the number on the side of the fuselage, and a couple of stencils we'll do underneath. So we'll do 3 different decals, different sizes, different positions, and I'll just show you how I do them. So put that up the top. Now with this, again, I used to use the bottle, did the brushing, tipped it over, lost probably 80% of the bottle. So I just put a little bit in the lid, keep it away from your aircraft. We already had one calamity with this yesterday. And you just need a small drop in there from time to time. Put that well and truly out of the way. Right, so refer to your call out. We're going for decal 37. I'll show you there. All the Balkan cruisers, I think that's what they're called. I'm useless with names and stuff, I just forget everything. It's number 37. So, craft knife. 37 is one of these. So again, don't go too close to it. Keep plenty of distance. And if you wanted to, you could come in with your scissors, take a little bit excess off to get as close as you wanted, but I don't find this too much of a drama. These are actually quite nice decals. I've never had a problem with these. Like I say, I've built a lot of these kits and never had a problem. Put your decals well and truly out of the way, because if they get wet, you're in trouble. Pop it in, pop in the water, get it under the water, and away you go. Now, as I'm going through doing all the decals, while that's soaking in there for not even a minute, I'll work on my next one. So I think, right, I'll go do the other one. I'll cut this out ready and just put it to one side. When that comes out, I'll then put that back in, lay that one down. By the time that's down, this is ready to go, and so on. And just speeds up the process a little bit, allowing you to progress a bit further. Obviously, you need to pay attention, you don't keep that in there too long. This is why this is ideal, because once you left that soak for 30 seconds, you can pull that out and it's no longer in water, so it shouldn't get any more detrimental damage. So that's why I use that, to be honest. We'll pop it in there, leave it for a few seconds, get the plane where you want it. Obviously, refer to your instructions where this is going. I use the water out of the decal tray, just pop it on. What you will notice is, because you've got a nice glossy surface, the water tension isn't working, as you can see. Now, to be honest, I find you don't really need to do this. The water off the decal will just lay straight down on there, and I'll show you that. I'll do both of these actually, and I'll show you laying it down without any water on there. So that should be ready. So I'm just going to take it out for speed. I don't need to let it soak, because there's no other decals on the go at the minute. So, pick up the decal out of the water. Obviously, because this is a larger decal, we're not waiting on any others. I just pick it straight out with the tweezers. I like to dab it off on the kitchen towel or the napkin to remove all the excess water. Obviously this is wetted where we wetted before. Now on a larger decal, and I will use this a lot, and I guess you shouldn't really do it, I use the tweezers quite a lot, just to grab the decal, hold it, and place it where it's needed. Plonk it down. And if you notice it's a little bit sticky, get a bit of water. Move it round till you're happy. We want to go just to the edge there, a little bit further forward. Obviously because it's a larger decal, I'm using my finger. And that is about right. We'll just go a smidgen more. I'll be happy. There we go. So once you got in the position where you want it, come back with your cotton bud. Just get the most of the water off the top by dragging it across. No pressure. All we're trying to do is remove that water, and then we'll start to roll it. So all you're doing is rolling the Q-tip or the cotton bud, whatever you call it, across the surface, and we're pushing all the water out from underneath. And just work your way systematically round, and you'll physically see the water come out. Once that one's moistened with the water, turn it round so you get a fresh side, and just work your way around. And if you want, if you're gentle, use the wet cotton bud. Never use a dry one to do this. Always make sure it's wet. And there we go, there's one down. Okay, so that one's set. Well, not set, it's down. We've got all the water out from underneath it, and as you can see, it's gone down quite nice. We need to see the panel line underneath, which it won't be needed. We can cut through if we want to show it better, and also some more of the surface detail. So, wipe off your brush into the microsole. I'm going to put it on, not as thick as I just have, doesn't really matter. Just get the excess off. Make sure to coat the entire decal in this. Paying particular attention to the edges. You know, we're not pressing too hard with the brush, and you can see how wet it is there. And then once you've got it on, leave it be. Don't go back and touch it again until it's dried. And whatever you do, do not put your finger on it. So be aware, especially when you're doing the side of the fuselage, that when you're going around holding it, that when you got your finger at the back, you know, put your finger on a decal, because your finger in that decal, once that starts to work its magic on that, is going to destroy that decal. What you may notice, it can be a bit disconcerting sometimes, is it'll all start to wrinkle and shrivel up, which is what it does. As soon as it dries, it'll go back down flat perfectly. What we'll go for now is the unit marking on the side, the number 4. So the front of the fuselage, I do this so you guys can see. So we're just going for one of these number 4s, decal number 50. And again, we're just using the craft knife. You can use, you know, knife or scissors. I just find the knife quicker and easier. I just use the scissors as and when needed. So back in the solution, use your brush to make sure it's completely submerged. What we'll do, we'll let that set, and then we'll go back and do the other one of these. I just want to show this unit marking on the side. So again, while that's drying, you can have another decal on the go if you wanted. And I'm just going to refer to that and see just where we're going. So we're going just there, like so, right. So you can work ahead and see where you're going, obviously planning ahead, keeping an eye on where the decals are going, and then once you're ready, test again like you did before with your finger. If it doesn't move straight away, put it back in and leave it for a minute. Some can take longer than others, it's just one of those things. And obviously while you're doing it, you can look ahead, see which decals are going where, plan ahead, look for stuff you've missed or you haven't missed, It doesn't take that long, to be honest. A good decaling session on this take an hour, if that. There's not a lot to do, so it's not really an epic session at all. That should be ready now. Yep, there we go. So we're off again. Again, I'm going to pick it up with the tweezers. I'm just going to plonk it in the water to get it a bit wetter. This is the way I do it. I'm not saying you guys should do it this way at all, but it is the way I do it. So again, pop it on, move it around. Just keep referring back to instructions, make sure you get it exactly where you want it. And exactly in the right place. I just need to go back. Not that much. So about there, make sure we're straight. Which we are, and push it forward again. That looks about right to me. Make sure we're all in line. Now quite often they can look like they're straight when they're not, so just keep referring to that instruction, and obviously use the panel lines as a reference, which is what I'm doing here. So it is straight with the panel line. Sorry about our camera there. And that's just where we want it as referred to the instructions. So again, same as before, cotton bud. Just work your way over it. You'll soon get the knack of it and start working quicker. Just ensure all that water's out. Like so. And then you can use the wet, damp cotton bud. Just make sure it's completely down. Set in solution again. Sure you guys can see. Should cover the whole decal. Even where you don't think there'll be anything, the carrier film carries on past the actual printed letters or markings. Make sure you go right over the edge. And the idea of this stuff is it will hopefully make the decal look painted on rather than an actual decal itself. As you can see, that Balkan Cruise on the wing is starting to wrinkle and shrivel. We come back to that in 10 minutes, that'll be gone. So there we go, there's one of the markings on the side, one on the wing, and I'll just do the other side quickly, just to show you without wetting the actual wing, that it will lay down just as well. So there we go, as you can see, that one's nice and wet now. The other one has conformed very, very nice to that panel line. There's a little bit of wrinkling left there, that'll soon disappear as soon as that dries, so that's nearly ready to go. So what we'll do now, we'll do one of the smaller decals underneath. If I pick one, I think we'll go for, there's only 2 underneath or 3 underneath. Number 16, let's have a look at number 16, see what that looks like. Number 16, yeah, that's a nice size decal. Just there, you can see it, it's a warning one in German. I don't really going to pretend to know what it says, because I don't. I'm not even going to attempt to try and say it. So again, cut it off. Again, the smaller decals, so just be aware when you cut them, you don't cut into anything else around the edge. Once you've got it off, plonk it in the water. And again, I'm going to sound repetitive, refer back to instructions. Make sure you are looking at the right one because there's the same call outs on different sides, don't be looking at the wrong one. All the stenciling should be generic anyway on aircraft, so you won't go wrong, but make sure you don't go and stick the wrong emblem or unit mark on. Worst thing in the world. So look where you're going, so we're on the leading edge just between there and there, so we're going right there, so that's where we're going. So what I like to do is I'll get the decal ready, get it off, put it roughly where I think, refer back to instructions and move it where it needs to go. Now this is where the toothpick or cocktail stick, which is done one, grab a new one, comes in very handy. There it is over there. Now what I like to do with the smaller decals, obviously we leave one end pointed. I like to tap it on the desk, and what that'll do, it gives you a little ridge one end, and I found that handy for pushing and pulling decals. I've always done that, I don't know why, I don't even know where I got it from, but I've always found it a handy way of doing it. So let's see if she's ready. Make sure you get the right way round. She goes with the right and facing backwards, so that's the right way. And I'm going to use the tweezers on this one, so we're going to push it off. Grab it gently with the edge of the tweezers. like so. And I like to just run it in the water, just literally skim it across the top to get it wet again. And obviously this way you need to start being aware of what's underneath on the decals. So I think I can hold it up for you lot. Looking by the instructions, it needs to go about there. So we'll plonk it on. Have a look where we are, have a look at the instructions. That'll do, mate. Absolutely spot on first time. So again, quite hard to see. It's right there, just on the leading edge. Couple of passes over the cotton bud. As you can see, this is blowing out now because it's wet. It's time to get a new one. That's what I always do anyway. Make sure it's laid down. A little bit of satin microsole. Now, when you're using this, the microsole on a smaller decal, be very gentle because quite often you'll run the brush over and it'll take decal with it. So just be very, very gentle. See the way that just moved? So that's literally moved a minute amount. So there we go. Job done. So I bring you up without destroying the other ones underneath. Let's see if you guys can see it. It's right there. Just in. So it's nicely conformed. It's got the satin solution on top. So that'll dry. Now what I'm going to do off camera, I'm going to go around and decal all this up. All the different ones. Put the satin solution down. And we'll come back after it's dried. I like to leave it again, normally 24 hours afterwards. But we'll see how we get on. Because what we need to do, once it's all decaled and you're happy with how it looks, you then need to clear coat it again for the weathering stage. What we also need to do then is get the exhaust made, well not made, they are made, cleaned up, painted, and the landing gear and the machine guns on the wing as well, ready to go, and the prop. So we'll actually show those being done in the next part. So once this is done, we'll come back and we'll clear coat it the same way we did before with the clear, and then that will dry for us ready to come back with part 13, I think it is. Unlucky for some, so it's not unlucky for us. So like I say, I'll go around and get all this decaling done and we'll come back for the clear coat more than likely tomorrow. So I'll see you in a bit. Okay, there we go, this all the decals on. Not necessarily a mammoth session applying the decals. In fact, I did it while I was talking to Cohen on Skype yesterday and finished them off this morning. So we're looking quite smart. I always think decals bring a model to life. They've all gone down perfectly well, no problems whatsoever. I touched a little bit of paint here and there where my hands have rubbed it away on the leading edges of the tail and the nose, but that was easily done, just a quick touch up with a paintbrush and an airbrush. But they're looking smart, they've all gone down well. Underneath, there's only about 6 underneath to be honest, but they've all gone down well. Stencils look well, quite hard to see, but they are there. The only decals don't get included in the kit are the swastikas. This is not what Airfix, are accused of often of, being historically incorrect. They should include them. Some countries it is actually illegal to display the swastika, especially Germany. And if Airfix include them in the kit, all that's going to happen is your kit's going to be opened and the swastikas will be cut off the decal sheet. So it's not down to Airfix, it's laws of certain countries. So all you've got to do is go to Hannant's or any other place that sells extra decals and get yourself a whole sheet of swastikas for about £6. You get every single scale, lots of them that'll last you for a long time, and just pop them on. That's it, no hardship at all. But like I say, all the decals have gone down, and like I say, I always think decals bring an aircraft to life, and this is looking the part now. So what I'm going to do, this is going to be left to dry. They're all been microsoled as well, so I need to let them all fully dry overnight, and I'll get another clear coat tomorrow, exactly the same way we did in the beginning of the video. So I'm not going to run through showing you spraying it again. It'd be literally the same way, couple of coats, and that's to give a protection for weathering, which we'll cover in the next step as well, the next video, sorry. What I've done off screen as well, we put the exhaust in, they're just friction fitted in because they fit very nice, and we super glued the wing mounted cannons on as well. All we've got left to do is, I've got everything else cut off, ready to go. So there's the prop, landing gear, the wheels, and that's these all ready for prime, and again we'll show those hopefully in the next part. We'll get them all painted up. These will be hand painted, those other parts will be airbrushed, and that's all the parts done. So like I say, the clear coat now is in preparation for our dark dirt wash, which we'll apply in the next part, and that'll fill the panel lines in with a dark wash, and it'll bring it to life even more. Still to do, I need a bit of exhaust staining, a light gun stain. We need to pick out some more detail on the aircraft. We've got an antenna wire, that's the other thing I put in as well, the antenna post. Antenna wire to put in, I'll show you using that with Easy Line. Then we've got the matte coat at the very end, unmasking the canopy, and that's about it really. So we are nearly there. I think another couple of parts and we'll finally be done. It's only took about 8 months to do. But she's looking the part, and I don't think I'll be building one of these for quite some time, to be honest. But there we go. So I'm going to let this dry overnight, give it a gloss coat tomorrow, and then we'll be back very soon for part 13. Unlucky for some, hopefully not unlucky for me. And that's it. Oh, the wheel wells need painting as well, so they'll be masked off and sprayed. Again, we'll run through all this in the next couple of parts as well. So that's us for today. Hope that's been useful for you in decaling. Again, I'm not an expert, that's just the way I do it. So hopefully that's proved of use for you. Nice to see so many of you guys posting on the forum that you find these guides useful. That makes it all the worthwhile me doing these as well, which is great, absolutely superb. So like I say, that's us for today. I'll catch you next time for part 13. It won't be too long, a couple of weeks if that, and we'll get cracking with the end of the build. So thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you soon guys.